What is a motherboard? Now, the motherboard is the main component of a computer. It's often referred to as the main board or MOBO for short. It's basically a large circuit board that fits into the computer case, and it is very where all the computer components connect to. For example, there is a CPU slot. The CPU socket is where the CPU or central processing unit is placed. There is a memory slot, and this is where the primary memory DIMM model known as RAM are inserted. There is also the bus slots or expansion slots and these are used to install various components to add more capabilities to a computer, such as a video card, sound card, network card, and so on. Then there is also the SATA connectors, and this is where you would attach your storage device such as SSDs or HDD drives. Motherboards will have several of these connectors, so you can attach multiple storage drives. And on some modern motherboards you might find the M.2 slot, and this is a newer slot for attaching an M2 solid state drive. And also on modern motherboards you also find the PCH or platform controller hub, and this hub is the latest chipset architecture by Intel that's replaced the old architecture. Now on older motherboards there would be a couple of chipsets on the motherboard called a chips on a motherboard called a chipset. There would be the North Bridge chip and the South Bridge chip, and these chips would have different functions. Now the North Bridge, which was located on the northern or upper portion of the motherboard, acted like a middleman between the CPU, PCI Express buses and memory, and the South Bridge, which was located on the southern or lower portion of the motherboard, was responsible for things like the communication with these lower interfaces, and which contains like standard PCI slots, SATA connectors, USB ports, and so on. It had to go through the South Bridge, but now this architecture has been replaced by the platform controller hub chips. In the PCI architecture, the functions of the North Bridge have been largely integrated into the CPU. So the North Bridge chip has been completely eliminated, and the functions of the South Bridge are now done entirely by the platform controller hub chip. Now motherboards comes with several input-output interfaces, and these interfaces are largely located on the rear input-output panel of the motherboard. For example, the most common interface on the motherboard is USB port. USB stands for Universal Serial Bus, and motherboards will typically have several USB ports because there are so many different peripherals that utilizes the USB interface, such as keyboards, mice, cameras, external drives, and printers. And in addition to connectivity, the USB port also supplies electrical power to the specific devices connectivities. Now, the majority of USB ports are mounted in the rear input-output panel, and some are located on the surface of the motherboard. Some motherboard will also have a built-in video adapter, and this is known as integrated video because the video adapter and the motherboard are essentially one unit. Older motherboards will have either a DVI or VGA ports, while modern motherboards will have an HDMI port or a display port. Now integrated video adapter are not very powerful. They are good for normal everyday use with light light applications. But when used for extensive graphic applications such as gaming, they call fall shots. That is why a lot of people will bypass the integrated video and add an expansion video card that has enough power to suit their needs, and some other things that would appear on the rare input output panel in the network interface. And this port is designed for an RJ45 connector with a Ethernet cable to connect the computer to the network. And there is also a sound card, and just like integrated video, if a motherboard has a built-in sound card, then this is known as integrated sound. A sound card is what processes audio through the computer speakers. Now, the motherboards comes in different shapes and sizes, and this is known as a form factors. And the most common motherboard form factors that's used in PCs today is ATX. ATX stands for Advanced Technology Extended. It was created in 1995 and is now the de facto standard form factor for PCs today. A full-size ATX motherboard is 12 to 9.6 inches. Now prior to ATX was the AT form factor. AT stands for Advanced Technology, and this was used in the 1980s and was developed by IBM. At motherboards are 12 by 13 by 18 inches in size, and they are no longer in development since the successes of ATX. Another version of ATX motherboard is the Micro ATX. Micro ATX motherboards are smaller than ATX boards, as its small suggests. Micro ATX boards are 9.6 by 9.6 inches, so it's a square design compared to standard rectangular design of the ATX. These boards are cheaper than ATX boards and were designed to fit in smaller computer cases. They also have fewer features and consume less power than a standard ATX board.